Hello everyone, Maurice Moss here, and I'm going to show you how you can talk like me. Sorry about that everyone, we seem to have switched from the sublime to the ridiculous, from Christopher Walken to Richard Ayoade, the person who plays Maurice Moss in the IT Crowd. The reason being purely that it's so much fun copying his accent. And I realise, of course, that if you're an American viewer, it's going to be just a little bit more difficult for you to impersonate Richard Ayoade's accent than if you're a natural Brit. So to set more of a level playing field, I'm going to help our US audience to learn some of the basics of an English accent, which will in fact help you when you want to impersonate one of us, which I'm sure you want to from time to time. One of the most obvious differences between a US accent and a British one is the use of letter R. Well, you just heard it then. We say R, you would say R. In American, when the letter R is in a word, it's pronounced more like a growl, isn't it? You know, sport. Whereas a Brit would say sport. In fact, the way we pronounce the word court, the ending of that word is exactly the same as the ending of sport. In America, those two words would be almost completely different. It would be cat and sport. I believe, in fact, that something like 80% of the difference between the American and British accent is down to the pronunciation of the letter R. So if you can remove that growl from your words, the R sound, then you're basically there, to be honest. So how do you do this? Well, think about keeping that sound in the front of your mouth. So, sport. Don't have any sound, don't feel any sound in the back of your throat. So you want to say sport, court. Okay, so let's move on to another few differences that you can learn. Now, the American accent, I don't know if it's even exists. The sound o, as in not. You would say not. So to achieve this, again, keep your voice in the front of your mouth. That's good, isn't it? Because you've already learned how to do that. But make a circle with your lips and then say not. So finally, let's move on to another big difference between the US and Brit accent, and that is the use of the letter T. So in the middle of American words, the T is pronounced as a D, like butter. At the beginning and end of an American word, you usually pronounce the T. So it's just a simple tip here to pronounce a T every time you see a T. Unless, of course, you're trying to copy a Cockney accent, which is similar to mine in a way, where you want to leave the T out altogether and say butter and mutter. So those are the main differences. Let's move on now to Richard Ayoade. Well, I said at the outset that this was an impersonation of Richard Ayoade, but it's really an impersonation of Maurice Moss, which is an exaggeration of his own accent. So I've brought Richard into the studio. Hello, Richard, and maybe you can explain to us how you talk the way you do.
Well, hello. Thank you very much for inviting me. Well, as you know, I've had many years in information technology. Man and boy, so to speak. Oh, that's what I meant to tell Jen. IT stands for information technology. Oh, and it's a fact that anybody who's worked in England in information technology for any period of time starts talking with a nasal twang. Well, That's what I've been told.
So there's a nasal quality to your voice. In other words, some of your voice is actually in your nose.
Yes, that's right.
But I'm sure I can notice another quality to your voice. It's not just in your nose, it's at the front of your mouth, isn't it? That voice of yours, the front of your mouth, and it's towards the roof of your mouth. Is that correct?
Very well observed, I must say.
I think that many people make a mistake also with your accent, that they think you have a high voice, but really, it can be quite deep, can't it?
Yes, very deep.
Deep.
Extremely deep.
So it just remains for me to say thank you so much, Richard, for coming along and speaking to us this evening. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Is that Vista?
No, it's XP actually.
XP.